Welcome to Hypnosis and Beyond.
Brett Uston Johnson is a Pilates entrepreneur and a social advocate for functional fitness. Having a diverse background of youth athletics and professional training, Brett Austin has taken the Los Angeles Pilates market by storm. The past 3 years, hundreds of clients have experienced Brett's rave trainings from Santa Monica to Manhattan Beach, across to downtown LA and beyond. Brett continues to build an enamored clientele base. He really proves that Gen Z young adults are showing up in the world with new perspectives to contribute. Awesome.
We are thrilled to have you as a guest on Hypnosis and Beyond.
Let's get it.
And you know what? We thought that was so clever of you to include in your bio the areas in which you teach throughout Los Angeles were listed as Santa Monica, Manhattan Beach, downtown LA, and beyond.
And beyond.
So look at you being on brand. Well, we would love to hear how you became this premier Pilates force that you are. What led you to explore Pilates and other body work?
I think the very first jump in was ClassPass. So it was, again, some of these technologies that have popped up in this era that have allowed kind of the term democratization of fitness and some of the resources that are available to us. And ClassPass allowed us to experiment. I think a lot of people were able to get out of the athlete mentality and get into what works for me, what's out there, explore. The first oven was solid core. We love the OGs because it was a gateway into Pilates for, I think, an even broader market of a lot of guys. And then from there, I moved to Los Angeles in 2020. And at the time, it was mid-pandemic-ish. There wasn't a lot of access. A lot of businesses were closed. And at the time, the businesses that were open were really doing their own thing, kind of renegading their way through. And I just tried to find the darkest, loudest room I could find. That led me to Choreology, where we met. And it led me to a path of instruction where I got to actually train. Choreology at the time was bringing on a lot of instructors and really recognizing that from a lot of different demographics, training was a big barrier to entry. Thousands of dollars for PT training wasn't necessarily everybody's go-to. So they took the steps to kind of open up that space. And that's where I was able to get my first batch of training. From there, I just popped around. I did find that opportunity in Los Angeles was interesting because this kind of turnover, and a lot of fitness businesses will talk about the turnover with talent, is a big thing. And so I found that wherever I went, I was welcomed for sure.
So had you experienced Pilates before that, or was that actually your first introduction? I know you're a lifelong athlete.
So back in high school, I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. I went to an amazing Christian high school, and we were playing preseason football. They brought in an instructor and just gave us a little taste. And I remember back then, it was the first time we were doing abdominal work, and I was like, what? Wait a minute. It's that mental break where you go, oh, there's a plane that I'm not existing on right now. And I think that that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to have to do some searching myself.
How do you define Pilates?
I'm going to pop us back a handful of decades and then bring us forward. I think this is the best time to just give the little history, the little rundown. So Pilates was originally started by a German-born physical trainer named Joseph Pilates back in the early 20th century. And getting to experiment and formulate with Pilates outside of the country, he brought it to the United States about 1920. And I think immediately started to realize that the markets here were looking for different things. So he started to tinker with it, working with people like Kathleen Grant to make it make sense for the dance community, for the communities that he saw would really grab on, and they did. It's gotten all the way to companies nowadays like solid core, choreology, club Pilates that people see all over the United States. And these are companies that are starting to, again, tinker with it, letting it meet people where they are in this modern day, people who want maybe a little bit more intensity, maybe people who are strictly using it for body reformation or recovery, whatever that may be. I think there's something for everybody, and it's really beautiful to see. So the way I define it in this modern day is working with the resistance of gravity, working with the resistance of maybe the different orientations in your own body. Some people's right leg is stronger than their left leg. And by chopping up the different sections of the body throughout the workout, focusing on specific muscle groups, we're able to use sometimes a machine, sometimes a reformer, and sometimes not a reformer to target. And we're slowly starting to identify through mindfulness, what are we using? Why are we using it? How can we lean out of that? How can we lean into that? We're just basically pushing all the buttons. Once upon a time, studied engineering in college. I did not graduate with that degree, but it is sort of like a manual instruction, going through and pushing all the buttons just to make sure everything's working together in the correct way. And this is a process that getting in touch with your body is usually about 3 or 4 months. If you're in a place of not being connected, after about 3 or 4 months
Yes.
of playing with this type of modality, you're in a space where you're like, I know how to use my left glute. I know how to use my right glute. I know how to tighten my core. I know how to relax my shoulders. I know how to kind of shift, pull, really move.
Yeah. What a wonderful explanation that was. Thank you. When you say reformer,
Yeah.
obviously I know what you mean because you've tortured me on, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
worked me out on one. Could you describe what, if somebody walks into a Pilates studio and there's these machines,
Mm.
what does that mean?
The reformer, if you can imagine, is one solid machine connected by different ligaments. It's a front platform that does not move.
Yes.
There's a carriage connected to that front platform that slides away from the front platform and towards the front platform, connected by springs that can expand and contract, springs that are specifically attached to the front platform. There is a back platform on the other side of this front platform and carriage that kind of gives that range of motion from space to space. The carriage is kind of the only thing that's moving, but depending upon where one foot is versus where another foot is, your weight can sometimes be situated over the front platform. It can be situated on the carriage, or it can be situated on the back platform, or any variation in between. So sometimes we're putting the body in positions where we're standing on a solid surface, or we're standing on a surface that is actively trying to shift away from you, and it's up to your what have you, inner thighs, glutes, core to hold that together. Sometimes you're just kind of levitating, if you will, over a pit of nothing but the floor beneath you, with your feet attached to things that are kind of like out wide. And yeah, all these things are playing with gravity and where gravity is pulling you, what's supporting you, and how we just breathe through every
Yeah.
piece of it, because we're not in a rush. Those 45, 50 minutes in class, they fly by.
For you, they fly by
Oh
as
my
the
gosh.
instructor.
It's the most peaceful time for me. I'm watching these humans sort of
You just
like,
get to torture a whole group of people all at
you've
once.
never seen a more beautiful human unless you've seen somebody kind of vibrate with energy. Oh, it's gorgeous.
I actually have a funny question for you. And did you know that you're a hypnotist?
I did know that I was a hypnotist, but I didn't realize it had made its way into these physical practices. I didn't realize that you perform as an instructor.
When you design the workout for the day, how do you decide which muscle groups to choose? Is each move related to the next one? Or do you just work all the muscles?
There are formulas that I've been trained within. I'm seeking to explore what else might be in terms of the formula of how we attack the body. But usually, I like to start my classes by taking the energy all the way down. I find that people are coming into the room from all different circumstances. And so by creating a baseline and taking the energy and everyone down to zero, giving them a second to just recognize where they are in the moment, create some stillness, and the type of stillness where they're searching a little bit. They're looking, what does this instructor mean by stillness? And I'm actively kind of parsing out. Imagine there's a hole in the back of your head and all the thoughts that you've been carrying all week are just dropping out. Now they're on the floor. You'll be able to pick them up after class. But for now, go ahead and sit empty. And that gives people an image that they can then utilize to release tension. Once that tension is gone, I start with the core. I start with our center mass, where a lot of people generate energy. We get their core turned on slowly by slowly. One of my mottos as Brett is less is more, because I know that these things build. So we do not have to. There's something about an American mentality where we kind of just dive in 0 to 60. And that is just not been my experience of how to truly recognize what's happening in the moment. So core, I move to the left leg or the right leg. I try to switch it up. We go lower body on one side. We move back into core, targeting for a second round, even more specific movements, taking the levels up. By this middle section of core, you're done. Your body has already reached its limit. So by the time we work out of that section into the second leg, into then a third
Yeah.
section of core, that's when my clients in class really are forced to rely on me, because I am prompting every small movement, every breath, breathe. And to see the body be in a place where it can't send the signal. And I've learned, okay, it's important to cue these signals. Press your shins down, lift your hips up 1 more inch. All these things are basically me taking a person that's naturally, the plane is naturally, I'm constantly, because here, right here, this is where your body is working. When your spine is neutral, where your core is having to support itself, where your elbows are
Yes.
right under something about our lines. We are this kind of geometric thing. And when it's in the right position,
Yes.
it's on.
I wonder whether we might do something together.
Just a touch. All right, let's start with this. It's going to be different for everybody. So some people might be seated, some people might not be. Go ahead wherever you are.
Okay.
Your heels tall. Try to pull your belly button into your spine and tighten your core. Basically,
Oh, and just if you are driving a vehicle, you might want to shut this.
thanks, Jen.
Just saying.
Thanks, Jen. Took a lot off of my
Yes,
conscience.
Pilates is not recommended while driving.
I'm like the safety police over here.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry. And we're back. Go ahead, please.
So heavy in your heels, specifically, there's something about the heels that relate and attach to your glutes. And while sitting in this chair, if your feet are firmly on the ground, just add some pressure to your heels and just see how much you can press into your heels, keeping the toes down, but kind of light. You're just pressing into your heels. And even here, seated in this position, press into your heels. Press into your heels. You should feel your glutes kick each time, even if it's small, that's okay. The goal is just to notice that by pressing down into your heels, your glutes are engaging. This is the type of relational value we utilize a lot, specifically for the glutes, which kind of are secondary oftentimes to the quads. The quads like to dominate our movements in our life. So from here, See if you can widen in your seat. Maybe take your legs out to the side just a touch. Just so you're sitting in a nice wide stance. That pressing into the heels, that was one level. Let's take it to another level. Press into your heels, lift yourself out of the chair just a little bit. Just enough so that your weight is balanced on the heels. You're hovering over the chair. Maybe your glutes, your butt still touching the chair, but right now, you're lower making the response and back down. Hovering, pressing into your heels, stand a little, and sit back down. This is the type of movement snack that if you're working day to day, if you're in the office, these are the types of things that we can work into practice to keep the lower body engaged. Your belly button is in tight, supporting you. Shoulders are kind of resting just a little bit forward. Hold up, lifted, pressing into your heels, and just tap the chair. Tap the chair. Tap the chair. Now, right now, your quads already are lighting up. This small movement takes so much work. While we're doing this, your body's going. Just see if you can invite some playfulness into your mind. So, along with movements come thoughts. And right away, you maybe notice the silliness of moving the body. Let me tell you, moving the body is silly. It is goofy. It is playful.
Yes, it is.
We're children. And I don't care if you're 60, I don't care if you're 70, 80, 90. We are children this entire life. Whew. Take a break.
Thank you for the break.
Wow. Okay.
Right away,
I
pores
was
are
somewhere else.
open, blood is flowing,
Yes.
your heart should be on.
Yes.
A movement snack is something that you can do 30, 45 seconds, maybe even a minute and a half throughout the day to keep the body active. And those signals, that keeps the body on all day. Your body's still working, your blood's still flowing. 3 or 4 movement snacks, the total of maybe 6 to 8 minutes a day, what that will do over an exponential course, this is how we invest.
Let me ask you this. In this particular movement, you didn't talk about our breathing. I'm curious whether breath plays into that particular move. Does it matter?
That's a whole nother level to the activation. So if we were in that same move and you were pressing into your heels, if we went right,
May I request that we try it with the breath?
you
Is that what you're
absolutely
doing?
may, and let the audience know that what
Yay.
you're about to feel is on Dana's request, just so you know.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
We're right here and we're back in this seated position wide stance. Now, right here, I will say you're kind of pointed out here and like really focusing. Your knees naturally want to sink in. I want you to open them up nice and wide. Every time you press into your heels, it's a breath out. You can take longer, you can take slower breaths. If you shorten your breath, your heart rate will increase. The goal is to breathe as you press into your heels. Now, you automatically recognize this does send a stronger signal to your glute. Your breath is power. So when you put power into this movement, the muscle is going to increase in energy. The action is going to increase in energy. You should feel so strong right now that you could press up out of your chair. You could press up into a jump. You could do anything from this seated position, this hover right here, and just go ahead and hold, but keep your breath going. Now, right away, our legs are on. Notice all the little tension thoughts that are coming in. What I try to cue a lot is say something positive to yourself right now. Your spirit is open. You're open. This is the chance to talk right to self and say, we're just here. We're just chilling. Hey, we're just here. Just another day. Little Tuesday morning never hurt anybody. Little Tuesday morning. A little Tuesday morning. A little Tuesday morning. Hey, a little Tuesday morning. Mm. And then that playfulness, I can't even tell you how much that just fights off the tension. It's not serious. Yes, we're burning. Yes, the body's going. But one thing about us, we're going to keep it going. We have been working our entire lives, and we're going to keep working. We are going to be silly. We are going to play. This has to be the way we go. Can you give me a little shimmy to finish up here? Find your seat again. And just shake the shoulders. When in doubt, shimmy out. When they say life is hard,
When in doubt, shimmy it out.
just your right shoulder,
I love it.
just the left shoulder.
Oh, left.
Oh. This is
Nice.
how we keep the stress off. Like movement, spirit, all these things connect together. And this is my number one message. As I've been in this space, as I've been learning, I've realized that slowly by slowly, the seriousness has crept into recess. That's what we're doing. That's what this is. This physical practice that we're doing, it's recess. It's getting out of your day to day to find some respite, take your shoes off, go play, go outside, go.
Yeah.
I just want to ask a practical question in terms of somebody who's fascinated by Pilates and wants to just get into it. Can we do the Pilates moves without the machine? Can you just tell me the benefits and how somebody would move into this new modality?
So the goal right away, if you're making a change, practically, I find that a lot of people make changes as they shift careers, as they change from one job to another, as they maybe exit a marriage or have kids leaving the house. Whenever space and things start to shift in life, it's a cue to invite in these new practices. But maybe things don't shift, and maybe you're just taking an intentional step to add something beneficial to your life. Less is more. The goal is to not have a third job added to your plate. The goal is to have something that you can sprinkle in regularly for half an hour, 3 times a week is enough. The goal is to find something substantial, but something minimal that you can make a practice, because trust me, you'll get addicted and it will grow. But getting it planted is the hardest thing. So we're looking for a thick yoga mat, and we're looking for a dedicated space. In your home is where you want to start. That is the most minimal format of finding a 30-minute practice, whether it's with a YouTube routine or whether it's an actual subscription to Moor Fitness, which is my company. And then there are little additions. So there are little sliders that you can do on wooden floors, which allow you to slide on surfaces the way you would slide on a reformer. The goal is just that one foot is planted and one foot has a really tippy toe touch to be able to slide. So we're only relying on one leg. These are very practical movements. From there, you would just get your body warmed up for a few weeks. You're looking for 3 weeks, 3 workouts in week 1, 3 workouts in week 2, 3 workouts in week 3. Trust me, you'll be in. From there, you're going to your first Pilates class. You're going somewhere where you can try the machine and you can hop on and follow the instruction of a trainer who is going to lead you in a 45 to 50-minute flow that is going to have you walking out of there feeling much more than you felt at home. It is going to be a step up, but it is going to get your body to a place that when you go to bed that night and the following day, your body is constantly repairing. The machine, if you can imagine, does to your body what running from a tiger would do to your body. If you survived running from a tiger, your body would be fatigued, to say the least. But that night, it would repair itself. All the little muscles around, all the little tendons that wrap your spine would get stronger, recognizing, hey, they've got to run from tigers. So we need a little bit more support. Let's get ready for the next tiger. You go back to class a couple of days later, you do another class. That second workout in class, the soreness after will probably be the most. You're going to have a little waddle through the office the next day, but the feeling is that feeling of being back in high school. I'm sore again. I'm on. My body is active. I'm alive and I'm ready to go. Now, yeah, you're going to feel sore, but you're also going to feel like you can kick somebody through their chest. Like you're going to feel like a superhero. You're going to feel like Black Panther. You're going to feel like you can jump out of the window and land on the street. Every month after that, it's just going to be even beyond the physical, the mental clearing of just knowing identity-wise, I'm somebody who invests in my body, but not in a way that makes me push hard and we're going and but I kind of like take it down. I'm so happy that something like this exists for people who have enough rumble in their life, but still need that physical connectivity while also meditating. And it's kind of like forced meditation. You're breathing throughout class. You're not looking at your phone. Nobody's calling you. People do not come into the Pilates room.
You keep talking about the core. And I'm not sure if everybody actually knows what your core is.
Interesting.
Or how to activate it or why it's important.
So specifically on the kinesiology front, your core is the system of muscles that wrap your spine. So it actually goes all the way around, including lower back. And then it also travels down. And your glutes are part of your core. Your glutes are actually the strongest core muscle in your body. So that's why we focus on the glutes so much throughout class, and they are our lower body focus. And while it's great, your entire leg gets beautifully toned throughout a workout like Pilates, the glutes specifically get strengthened to the point where your spine and your obliques and your center core, your shoulders don't actually have to carry as much pressure and weight throughout the day-to-day because your glutes are helping out. The glutes are like a stepdad, like a really good one who comes into play, but you've got both parents, but then that stepdad just provides that little extra support, and you're like, oh, so this isn't 50-50 anymore. This is 33-33-33. And the tension that leaves your neck because it's not solely the responsibility of this kind of upper abdominal region and stuff. It's just, you're like, okay, the body is meant to work together. And just to reiterate, your obliques run up and down here on your sides, kind of supporting you on the sides, center abdominal region, and in here, in this kind of pelvic region, is your pelvic floor, which helps support everything as well. Everything works together, wraps your spine. We can definitely get into more specifics, but that's kind of a very light general kinesiology explanation of your core.
That was light.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot more than I learned in school just now.
Right. And I'm also thinking that Brett has to come on and it would be great to really just focus on one area because this is like mind blowing, right?
Right.
And the little things that go along with the one area. Yeah, breaking the body apart in explanation is also something is kind of what we get to do in class because we're in each section for about 5 minutes.
Wow. It seems like you have rapport, just like, yeah, Dana loves you. And I love you.
I love
just incredible. Yeah. It comes through. Like, it's just, I just want to be in your class.
To know Brett is to love Brett. You can see why he's a highly sought after instructor and his classes are full and you want to get in. And so maybe you're standing out in the window outside on the street, doing the moves, looking silly, but at least it's just a taste of Brett.
But all this people work is like, Specifically speaking, as somebody who grew up in the closet and very away from people, I put so many walls between me and other people. The opportunity to relate, especially also like as a young man, this has just been the most healing journey for me, because a lot of young men don't get to slow down, stop thinking about yourself, see the woman across from you, and just see her. But as an instructor, you get really good about, there's a lot of people looking at you, making eye contact, they want engagement, and I've got to take this 2.5 minutes. It's quick, but I got to make the most of this 2.5 minutes. This is a less is more game. This is about pouring in a little bit day to day.
Well, you make your clients feel that they're in a private class. You have a way to manage 15, 20 people and give cues that are so specific that people feel that they're in a room alone with you. And I think that's a real gift. And we appreciate, I'm sure everybody listening appreciates what did you call it? It was so clever.
Movement snack. And you really are
What a
snacking
great way to
while
think about it.
in the same way that we snack on Instagram and we snack on so much stuff.
Maybe we should move on to the silly subconscious question.
Okay, it's very serious. If you were able to choose an animal sidekick, which animal would it be and why?
I want to lean towards an Egyptian hawk, because
Ooh.
it would have the ability to go before me, scouting out territory, scouting out things that I may not have the ability to see from a vantage point. I think vision is really important. Also think that it's an asset that I could sell if I needed to. There's a market for those types of birds. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we've delved into the Pilates aspect of your life, but there's so much more. And of course, we call our show Hypnosis and Beyond for a reason. So, what is your beyond, a passion or something that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think a lot of people talk about what is, and I genuinely find so much enjoyment about talking about what will be, because I'm somebody who believes you never stop dreaming, and I think about the future, and the image that I get is really creating all these different formats of a private, very luxury experience in what might be a general, still high end fitness experience, but what might not be private. And I think that I've experienced enough comfort in my life to really know what key values get to the point of making somebody feel taken care of, considered without having to ask, that the amenities are there. I get excited about how to make young people more acquainted with what some of us experienced as luxury, and figuring out how to make that kind of more accessible, making sure that we kind of close the funnel and we make sure that everybody after high school has some sort of physical practice, so that it's not so crazy when you get out into the real world and you are looking for a way to keep that going. I get excited about historically Black colleges, because we're always looking about what the next generation of that is, and where we're taking all the things that we've gotten and taking that to a more international stage. So something that I'm very near and dear to, which is the historically Black college experience. How do we create what we talked about in school, which is a diasporic connectivity, connecting to Black people in Japan, Black people in India, Black people up and down the continent of Africa, and take all the wellness things that we've experienced with us.
Big ideas. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
We would love for our listeners to know where to find you and how can they connect with you?
So you can 100% connect with me on social media. I think the easiest way to find me is by Googling Brett Austin Johnson. What pops up immediately is Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the things right there. I also have a company, Moor Fitness, that I'm actively growing. It's Moor, MOOR.US on Instagram. And we're building, so we are looking for angel investors, and that allows us to kind of dive in again at this very early stage of just hosting classes and continue to provide what's very real and very impactful in people's life and continue to build from there.
Excellent. Well, of course, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's just been mind-blowing, and it's just, you've put me back into my body. I even started exercising this morning, knowing that you're back on the show. So thank you for getting me going again. And
yeah, we're going to keep going, Jennifer.
Finding more about Pilates.
I've got you. I'm going to build a whole regimen, a whole routine, step by step.
Amazing.
Love it. Thank you again for making the time for us. We so appreciate it. Big love your way, sir.
Congratulations.
And we'll be in touch.
Congratulations. And I'll talk to you
soon. Sounds good. All right. Mwah.
Awesome.
And with that,
what do we always say? Over and out.
Over and out.